Evening, everybody. Matt back with the next episode, episode 8 of the Mad Hatters. I did say I'd start winding the uploads down a little bit, but I couldn't not upload today. We've been playing a lot of games since the last time you've seen us, and we've actually gone and done it. We finished second in the league and gained automatic promotion. I did actually have sort of like a midway point video planned, which was titled "The Birds and the Bees," and we played Brentford and Norwich back to back. But the recording wasn't great, so we we scrapped that one. And I thought, okay, we'll just do an upload another day, and we'll go from there. But we've just with the ball just kept rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. This is when I was going to record Brentford Norwich back to back. We were third in the league at the time. Brentford were in second, and Norwich were top. They've pretty much been top all season, and just been some big goals, particularly this one from Mamadou Gungbo, which won us the game against Norwich, which meant we ended up going into second position, and it's a position we pretty much tried to tie down from there on out. You can see from that game we only lost 3. I thought we were going to stutter there, but look how strong we finished. It was great. There's been some mad goals. There's been some slight tactical tweaks. There's been some big performances. You can see Eddie Nketiah has finished on 27 goals. We actually managed to tie him down to a season-long loan ending next season. I originally thought that was just going to be another championship season, but no, we're in the Premier League. The Hatters have come up. It does mean, though, that our link with Arsenal will terminate, so we did have to pay the full amount of wages and I think a bit of a loan fee. It's a bit annoying, but it is what it is. So Eddie Nketiah is in, but as I can say, look, we sort of tussled with Brentford the entire time, and I believe Brentford in the final stages of the season bottled it. Fixtures and results. Let's go back to where they bottled it. They ended up losing in the playoffs, but I mean in the league where they bottled it. Yeah, they lost 4-2 to Derby. That was it. So you can see we got a big win against Preston as Norwich lost to Watford. And Brentford dropped points against Charlton on a 95th minute Dale Fry own goal. And I thought, am I going to record this? But I was working at the time, so whenever. They then ended up beating Norwich, Dale Fry making up for the own goal he scored. Then the next time we played, it was a 1-0 win against Queen's Park Rangers, which set up a big finish. We ended up drawing 2-2 with Ipswich Town. We went 2-0 down in this game, and I thought, that's it, it's not going to happen. But if you look, Derby did a number on Brentford, and Lyndon Dykes in the 74th minute. He's not scored much. You did see in the last video where I identified him as he's going to come in and just do a job. We did bring him in, but we also brought in Dan N'Lundulu on loan from Southampton. So N'Lundulu played a little bit more than Lyndon Dykes. You can see he only scored 3 goals. He got 2 assists. But his average rating was about what you'd expect, 6.73. He was pretty much just an average forward. But he's an average forward. He scored a big goal in the history of this save and the history of the club. And for that, I would say the outlay we paid on him, I think 525k, 425k, I think. He's paid it. He scored the goal, which got us to the Premier League. If he hadn't have scored that goal, Brentford would have finished above us. If they had won, luckily they never. But again, big result, big game players. That's determined lads. That's what we want at this club. And yeah, it's just been an absolute blast this season. I sort of did this with the Gingham save when we sort of had to do the second season in the Championship, as we did over there in League 2. I just didn't think it was worth recording, so we sort of just played off camera and played most of that. With us being in the Premier League next season, I thought we're probably... The state of the squad wasn't amazing. I mean, We've had some amazing players come through. Mazida Gungbo is probably one of my all-time favourite signings ever on FM. He came in on a free transfer after being released by Arsenal, and we identified, I think in episode 6, we said he's probably going to be one of the main players. If he can, he's got the traits to carry him through. He's very fast, he's very determined, he's quite strong, he's tall, etc. And he's just done an absolute great job. He scored a big goal against Norwich. And yeah, he's just gone from strength to strength to strength. He is now tied down on a contract until 2026. An amazing player. You can see his current ability is saying 2.5 star. It was 3 star, but we have already made some signings. So he's dropped down the pecking order a little bit. I will still probably play him as one of the main starters. We do rotate quite a bit at the back, but we've lost Max Amer. And he was sort of like the only real backup option we had. And then Tom Lockyer, Owen Otasowie, and Mazida Gungbo rotated between them. Tom Lockyer is definitely Premier League ready. Whether Owen Otasowie is, I don't know. He didn't play an awful lot towards the back end of last season, Otasowie, but he did actually win the league's Young Player of the Year, but he played in multiple positions. He also scored a big goal. You see on his form here in this game against Ipswich, where we played him, not the Ipswich game, sorry, the Nottingham Forest game. We played him as a central midfielder, and he scored a big equalising goal, which sort of kept the momentum up. But you can see we've sort of played him in multiple different positions, and that's the type of player we want. We've also brought him in for another season-long loan. That'll probably be the last season we get him, so we did actually bring in other people. Other than that, I'm just trying to figure out sort of what to show you. We need to see this goal of the season, man. We were doing our scouting in obviously the Premier League under 23s and Premier League 2 and whatnot. And Taylor Richards, who is a guy in real life who plays for Brighton, he ended up. Can I see it in competitions? He ended up coming in on loan, essentially, from Brighton. It was 10 grand a week we were paying him. And he played on either the right wing or he played in central midfield. You can see there he came on at right wing when we were 1-0 down to Bristol and scored 2 goals to win us that game. He's just one of those players that performed very, very well. I need to show you this goal, man. He scored an absolute rocket. Was it Charlton? I think it was this game. I think it was the Charlton game. I'm just going to show you that now. Yeah, do you remember in the last video we said we're not going to see a goal as good as Andy Carroll's? Well, he absolutely he blows Andy Carroll's out of the water. I think it's this one. Look at this. Oh my God. What a ridiculous goal that is. I mean, come on now. The whip on it. But he was one of the players we identified in the under 23s or the Premier League 2. You'll say he was playing for Brighton. He can play multiple different positions. He can play in the middle. He can play out wide. He can play as like a holding midfielder. He's just a very, very good player. Very, very fit. Very, he's got good pace, good agility, good acceleration, really good stamina, really good dribbling. He's just a bit of a jack of all trades. I don't know whether we're going to bring him back in. We do think he's probably one of those players that will just get better. I've just seen that, to be honest, that's the first time I even noticed that. You could see they wanted between 2.3 and 4.5 million. I think he might fit in. Because like I say, the squad isn't Premier League level. We did say that to the lads at the end of the season. In that, you're probably not going to be able to stay up. We need to bring a few people in. So people like Harry Cornick, who just doesn't play anymore, although still has fairly decent stats Premier League wise, he's just not going to get. He's not really going to get it. He will not leave. He keeps turning down contracts. He's turned down Bristol. He's turned down Gillingham. He's just not leaving. So we have to just keep offering him out until he accepts the deal, basically. Either that or we release him. We had a similar thing happen with Panchut Camara. he turned down Sunderland, who had offered us the full wages up front and then an additional option to buy fee. He then come to me and kicked off and said he was an important player. We've still got Alan Campbell. And we've brought in another centre mid to subsidise Alan Campbell and challenge Alan Campbell, who was better than Panchu Camara. So we literally just released him. Piers Bill, he actually played a fair bit towards the end of the season, 8 games, 6.86. He, as we mentioned in the previous video, all he was there to do was get on the pitch, win the ball back, and then pass it off. And he did that very well. He's a good player. For the lower leagues, definitely. For Premier League, no. He's not going to hit the heights that he could do unless he was playing regularly. He's not going to play regularly for me. And as mentioned before, Max Amer, he left. Other deals on the ins. Shea Ojo was going to be joining on a free transfer. Can play anywhere across the front. Basically what we've decided, see this, look at this again, multiple different positions, can even play centrally if need be, and that's great. He's a big lad, he's 6'1", getting into the box, getting on the end of crosses, that's what we want. We need a lot of adaptability. Can even play up front, actually, decent. Shea Ojo, anyway, coming in on a free, fairly decent wages. I think he accepted something like 15 grand. Just going to show it now. But anyway, he's coming in on a free. We're looking to bring in Daniel Bachmann as backup on a free. Again, he's not going to play, but if Bajic gets injured, we literally don't have backup. We've got Christy Pym, who is not at this level, so we're going to try and get rid of him. But we're going to show you now the people who have come in, and I'm very, very happy with these signings. Again, because we're not actually into the 2022-23 season yet, we can't actually see them on the next screen, so you sort of got an overview. You can see this is where we last left off with Uga Chukwu coming in from Spurs. I say Taylor Richards came in on loan, Dan Lundaloo, Lyndon Dykes, Niels and Kunku from Everton came in on loan. Very, very good player. Similar to what he's like in real life. I can't really make my mind up whether he's a fullback or whether he's like a winger. In real life, he's definitely more of a winger. He's more attacking than he is defensive, but it remains to be seen. We were thinking of bringing him in, but we've now got again, I'll show you in a minute. We've signed a left back. We have Amari Bell. We've got Tariq Wakwe, and we've got Denver Hume, who can all play left back, so there wouldn't be space for Nkunku. So he will be leaving. Gary Brown, I will show you later. Mo Silla is one of the ones who's coming for this season. He's a young lad. He's coming on a free from Aston Villa. Again, he's only 19. If he plays consistently, this lad can definitely develop. And again, he's literally just there. He's going to come on the pitch. He's going to win the ball back for you, and he's going to pass it off. He's literally a like-for-like replacement for Zabil. He's on a lot less wages. He's a young lad, and he's got a lot more room to improve. So he's a big lad coming in. I'm quite happy with that. Were there any outs around that time? Just a few. Luke Berry went out on loan. Tyler Smith went out, as we said. Spencer Alley left. Sam Beckwith. No one really major. Marcus Ryan was the young lad we got in from Leeds for 500k. He ends up going to Brentford for 700k. Up front, rising to like 1.5 million. And then we're going to show you the boys we brought in. You'll see from the thumbnail, I've gone full Harry Redknapp, and I've had to be Wheelin and Dealin. We got given 35 million transfer budget up front, which is astronomical. It's lovely. We're not a club who's got a lot of money. You might have seen from the finances tab earlier, we're £10 million in debt now. That is because the club decided that Kenilworth Road is not big enough for the Premier League. It doesn't meet the standards. So to offset that, we've had to loan. Not loan. We've had to basically pay rent up front to Millwall to play at the Den for a season until we move into our new stadium. So yeah, we're playing at the Den, which is a bit bizarre. But the lads who are going to be coming in from the Den, you can see there's a bit of a trend. Bochum. So Germany, we've looked in Italy. We've got someone from Cardiff. Basically, our scouting knowledge got updated. And I thought, we need people who are going to come in, make an instant impact. We need a new centre mid. We need a new striker. We need some top quality defenders. We need some backup defenders. So we actually went scouting based on relegation release clauses and ones that were active. And we come up with these lads. Philip Lionheart, I am positive I've shown you in a previous video. We did agree a deal with him to come about 2 years ago. at the start of the save, but he was only worth about £1 million then when he was playing for Freiburg. They didn't really want him. He agreed to deal, but he couldn't get a work permit. Since then, has actually got a cap for Austria. For whatever reason, that meant he had enough points to come in. Bochum got relegated. He had a relegation release clause. We absolutely straight away snapped our hand off. 1.4 million. They've made profit on him, but we've got ourselves a very, very competent centre back and an Austrian international as well. We don't have many international footballers at the club. Very tall, really good jumping reach. He's got everything I like in a centre back. He's tall, he's fairly strong, he's very quick, 16 pace, really good composure. Centre backs wise, I do like my positioning and my anticipation. It's a really good teamwork as well. He's basically just going to sweep up, pick the ball off. There you go, mate. I'm going to stay back. You do what you need to do. And at 25, he's still got a bit of potential in him. Again, you can see his value's already 6 million. So it was about pretty much like Everton have done in real life this season. It's the bargain basement buys. Next up was Mamadou Kula Bali. He came in from Salernitana. They were relegated down to the Serie B. A very, very, very rounded central midfielder. Is probably better overall than Alan Campbell. Can play box to box, can play ball winner. We will more than likely use him as a ball winner on support. Look at this, he's very good at that. But again, we've got the option that we can play him in rotation with Pelly Ruddock as a box to box midfielder. Pelly Ruddock, by the way, hit his 300 career league appearances for Luton Town. Has played now in I believe the conference all the way through to the Premier League, which is mad. He had his best season I've ever seen. We did change him up. We spoke in the last video about changing up to like a central midfield and attacking certain times. And he's just 8 goals and 8 assists. He smashed it. But yeah, next up we had a look. Lyndon Dykes is a Premier League quality. Dan and Lunderloo isn't coming back. He was literally just we needed somebody in. Eddie Nketiah can do it, but we played him wide left most of the time, or we played him sort of like off Lyndon Dykes, like a target man, a little and big man combo. So I thought we need somebody who can do a bit of both. We need someone, because we're not going to be as good as the teams we're playing, rather than playing this expansive, free-flowing football, we can still keep the core of what we want to do in, but we need to play counter-attack, and for that we need pace. We need pace at the back to recover, and we need pace going forward. So we've got ourselves some pacey wingers. We've got ourselves a big, pacey, strong centre-forward in Sylvia Gambula, 3.9 million from Bochum. He is Congolese international, been playing in the CONCACAF. Done very well at Bochum. I saw his stats from last season, but he runs with the ball through the centre. He likes to beat the offside trap. He's quite aggressive. He's just a big unit, basically 6'3", 17 jumping reach, 14 heading, really good finishing. And if we look at his career stats from last season, you'll see at Bochum he got 11 goals in 32 games for a team that were relegated from the Bundesliga. I don't think that's bad going at all. 6.84 average rating. You can see the season before. It's again his first season in the Bundesliga, 12 goals and 3 assists. So he's definitely at a level. It's just how we use him and if we fit him in well with the team. But again, I thought 4 million outlay for a player that's worth easily 10 million. I couldn't turn it down. Next up was another Bochum player in Bakary Jatta, £2 million relegation release clause on him. He's got one thing about him. He's fast and he's aggressive. Will he play up front? Potentially. Again, we're playing counter-attacking football. I am going to train one of the traits to go around the goalkeeper, purely because he's so agile, quick, and got decent dribbling. I'm going to do that now, actually. If he does play up front, he's not going to score bangers or whatnot. His best bet is to go around the goalkeeper and use his pace to get in. But again, can play sort of anywhere on the right-hand side, anywhere on the left. We play inverted wingers, depending on the situation, as we've done with Onyedinma Dimber at time. We play a winger. To me, he's like an inside forward, which is what we've got him training as. He's basically just there to run. He's strong as well. He's got 14 strength. He's really quick. He's got a lot of stamina. £2 million again for somebody that the game is valuing further up at £10 million. It's decent, man. And Curtis Nelson is a backup centre back. He's replacing Max Aimer basically. From Cardiff, we did identify him last season, but they wanted big money for him. He let his contract run down. They had 150k on him. There was a few teams sniffing around. I thought, yeah, I'll have a bit of that. He's basically sort of thinking the mould of when Brentford signed Pontus Jansson. He's a very experienced player. He's basically just good for the young lads who are there. He very competent himself. I've got no doubt he's going to contribute this season, and he's got shoots with power, which is quite mad, and he's got a long flat bullet throw. So if we wanted to start utilising that, which we've got a lot of big lads. I know it was very prevalent at the start of the game. It might be something that we look to reintroduce. Get that ball in the box. If Curtis Nelson's on that pitch, I've got no worry about sticking a long throw tactic on and seeing what happens. And then other than that, we've got Ollie Turner on a free from Tottenham when the young lad's released. Is sort of he's good at a few things and okay at others. He'll just go straight out on loan. Doesn't need his mentoring or anything. And then there was also Roshan Mathurin, again, could be very, very good. He'll probably stay in the reserves for a couple of seasons before we loan him out. And then this guy, another relegation release clause. It's Yanis Hamachi. He got relegated with Boa Vista from Liga NOS. £1.4 million for a left back. That's that good. Come on, man. Like if he had just any of these 14s to 10 to 15s, you're looking at like the most well-rounded player you could possibly get there. He's better than both the left backs we had at the club. It was an absolute no-brainer. He's on 12 grand a week. That's nothing for a Premier League player. To be honest, this bloke could play central midfield. Easily play, and he'd be a very, 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 very good central midfielder. He could probably play anywhere on the pitch, to be completely honest with you. I am more than happy with that. He's had a bit of a mad career. Red Star, Nice, Boa Vista, and now he's at the Hatters. Again, he fits the mould. Mad Hatters, he fits it well. So what we're thinking to start the season then, I've had a little play around with the tactics. Shea Ojo more than likely will start over Bakary Jatta because he's got a bit more about him. But if I just go to the tactics screen, we're thinking not Duffy. This will be Nketiah to start off with. Again, Kula Bali is in there. Where are you? Eddie Nketiah, there we go. So Kula Bali is in there purely because he's got a bit more about him than Alan Campbell. But I think we're going to need to try and win the ball back fairly quickly, which means Alan Campbell will be the main man, basically. So he gets himself in there. Pelly Ruddock is personalised, is to play central midfield attack. But the actual positional is going to be box-to-box midfielder. When we changed into central midfield attack, that's when he started scoring a lot of goals. And you'll see the 8 goals and 8 assists in 39 matches is a great return for a player who was only sort of averaging ones, 1 and 5, 3s, 2s, to then go and score 8 goals in a season that got us promoted to the Premier League. That's just an insane return for a lad they got from free, on a free as well. So we're sort of sticking with the mould. People who will be going out then, Danny Hilton and Andy Carroll will both be going. Andy Carroll is retiring. Danny Hilton is listed, but his contract is up at the end of the season, I believe. He was only really kept around for mentoring purposes, but I feel like we've got enough about that now. Max Aimer, as you've seen us going. Fred Onyedinma had a massive impact again last season. He's good enough to play at the Premier League level. He definitely is. Whether he becomes an impact player or not, we'll have to see. But I think what we need is Gamvula is going to have to start, and Eddie Nketiah will sort of play up front if need be. But we just need to overload and attack quick, fast players. Who else will be going? Denver Hume will stay as like a complete backup option. Adam Phillips, man, he was the one we got from Burnley. Man's worth $5.5 million. This is a bloke who was playing in the Premier League 2 and for Burnley under 23s for so long. He made 8 appearances for Burnley in the Premier League that season. You can see he's come to us on a free transfer, 2 goals and 3 assists. He's happy being the backup. As a backup deep line playmaker, he's great. George Honeyman got injured for about 3 months of the season with a pulled hamstring, and he just slotted in 17 games. No worries, boss. Thanks very much. There's a few assists for you. I'll see you later. He got the 2 assists for Taylor Richards that game where he scored the 2. I think that was against Bristol. Very competent. I think he can play Premier League level purely for his passing stats, passing vision. Really, we want him to take a few more risks when he's on the ball. He likes to switch the ball to the wide areas, which is what we're looking for. We had him in a training group with George Honeyman, and George Honeyman also picked up the trait to get the ball to the wide areas. So he comes deep, he dictates the tempo, he switches it wide, and he crosses it early. We've got two very competent deep lying playmakers, two very good quarterbacks, if you will. Dan and Lundaloo, as you said, is gone. Tariq Uwakwe is wanted by Millwall on loan. We started playing him as a wide playmaker in like this position here, as a wide playmaker on support. Because if you look, it sort of highlights everything he's really good at. Because again, he's not the best, he's not the worst. He's definitely got something about him. Will he develop? Probably not at us in the Premier League. So we're more than prepared to let him go out on loan as long as he plays. So he's going to a regular starter. We'll try for the wages. I'm not too disheartened if we don't get the wages because we have got a bit of money left in the transfer budget to fiddle around with wage structure and whatnot. But yeah, Tariq Uwakwe will be going. Kanya Leshabella, again, he's very, very good. He's okay for the championship, but he's never going to develop now. As I say, we did try and train him as a right back. That really failed. He played a few games at a right back, but he didn't really perform all that well. So he's another one that we'll stick on the transfer list. Anything else? God, it's been a long, man. We've played a lot. Taylor Richards, we will try and sign on a deal. Daniel Oyagoki, again, technically and mentally, quite low, but if we played him much like we did a Gungbo, he will definitely develop. It's just that James Bree is so good, we can't drop him. But in terms of like backup right backs, he's really all we've got, so he'll definitely be staying. Will Russ, we've tried to develop, we've tried to mentor. It's just not happening. He's a young lad that we got from Leicester. He's wanted by Bristol Rovers. As far as I'm concerned, they can have him. We're just going to stick a percentage of next sale on. Let's say 25. Just because he's not going to get there. He's not going to develop any more than he has. And we've brought in a very, 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 very good 17-year-old from Coventry City, and I will show you him soon. Eddie Carrington is the lad who, he's a bit of an anomaly, very quick, very tall, goes around the goalkeeper. I'd like to keep him about, but I'm more about getting him out on loan and getting him some game time. I still think by the time he reaches 23, there could be a really good player in there. So again, we'll stick him on the loan list. And I'll show you some of the youth players that come through, and I'll show you sort of what we've got knocking about and who's performed well out on loan. And whatnot. Matt Ingram, he's going to go. His contract's up. He's wanted by... Is that Liverpool? Okay. Well, again, Andy Lonergan, he's a good backup, essentially. Christy Pym, as you said, if we do get Daniel Bachman in, I am happy to let Christy Pym go. He's not Premier League level. Only played 8 appearances in total for us. Average of 6.7. It's fine. He's just a standard average goalkeeper. Amari Bell, as we said, is sort of the backup left back. Again, very quick. Can play on the wing, as you've seen in the first season. So he's definitely going to stay. Harry Cornock's going to go. Daniel Butterworth, too badly injured, man. He gets injured all the time. So we are unfortunately going to let him go. If Blackburn can loan him out somewhere and he develops a little bit more, we'll keep an eye on him and see how it goes. But he'll be going. Owen Osowi's coming again. Pierre Zabil's gone, and then see a few of the new lads. Michael Duffy wants a new contract. He thinks he's a star player in this team. He's not, but he's a very good player. This is a guy we signed for 200k when we looked at the data analysts, and now he's worth £2.5 million. I don't really want him to go, but if he has to go, I've made 100% profit on him, 1,000% profit on him even. Couple of young lads in there. Again, they're only in and around for mentoring purposes. So that's all that they're in there for. And then there's this guy, there's Gary Brown. This is the 17-year-old lad we signed from Coventry. Look at him. He played 4 games in the first team. He wasn't quite at the level of the championship yet, despite his attributes. Um, he's insane, man. He's very good. Look how many people want him on loan. We're definitely going to loan him out. He could play a role this season, but I think if he gets a full whack under his belt, a full season, he's just going to be absolutely insane. And we found him doing the we're on the youth intake day and we put them all on the shortlist and filter it through. We found him on that and we just kept an eye on him. Obviously, you can't really sign them straight away anymore. You do get the odd one, but then they want really stupid compensation. But we added him to the shortlist. We kept an eye on him for a whole year. And then we pounced when we could, and they accepted an offer of, I think it was 275,000, 245,000, rising up to 350k. He's got to be worth a lot more than that by the time he's 20. So I was more than happy to take him off Coventry's hands. But yeah, while we're here, let's just try and get Taylor Richards in. Because I'm with the additions I've already made, I'm more than happy with the overall balance of the squad. And again, they accepted that too quickly. I'm going to skip ahead a day, and then I'm going to go back in with a lower offer. That's a little tip. If they accept an offer straight away for like 3 mil, which is already less than his asking price, they're probably happy to sell. So you could probably go a bit lower. We're probably going to go back in with like 2 mil and see what they say. They might want some additionals onto that, but if we're getting a player half price, who, I mean, look at him, man. You've seen him. He's a good player. We're definitely going to go back in with a lower offer. So we've got a few offers coming in now. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. I've not got an awful lot to talk about in this video, to be completely honest. We'll probably come back for either the start of the Premier League season or sort of midway through and see how we've been getting on. But I may have to whittle it down to 2 uploads a week. I am back in the office now, so it's a bit harder to play, record, upload, etc. Go for a 2.5 and see what they say to that. I'm more than happy with that. He's a great player. Again, can play in multiple positions, so he's what we want. That's the type of player that we look for. Can sort of play a bit all over. Let's see who's going where. Who's going where? Chicago Fire one Uwakwe. You go, son. You have a little go there. You can see he's worth 1.1 million. He's another player that we identified with our data analysts and got him in for like 200, 300k. It's not a massive bit of profit, but it's profit nonetheless. And, it's what you want. Lesha Bella, go to either or, mate. You're not going to play in the Premier League for us, I'm afraid. Carrington. With a player like this, you want a team that have got good facilities. So I'm thinking Salford probably have better facilities than Torquay. Torquay. Basic. Again, another tip. Always look at their training facilities. If they've got like inadequate training facilities, even if your player is playing, they're not going to develop as much as if you had someone who had decent training facilities, let's say, and he was playing average. And what were Salford again? Were they basic or good? You might be going to Torquay, although they're a division below. Basic. My man's going to Torquay. Worth looking. It's definitely worth looking. Although, like looking at it on face value, Eddie Carrington could potentially play in a higher division. And although Salford are the higher division, you're going to Torquay, mate. You're going to get more game time, I imagine. You're going to be training in better facilities, so it's a bit of a no-brainer. That same again. I'll look for Brown now. I did see that Reading put an offer in for him. Sunderland, Rotherham, Reading, Northampton, and Exeter. The loan fee from Reading and Northampton and Sunderland is very good. It's going to be Reading or Sunderland, to be completely honest with you, but we're going to look at their facilities now. So let's see. Great training facilities. They're playing in the Championship. Their manager plays. If Parnovich is still there, they play good football. Yeah, so he'll play him. He'll definitely play him in rotation with Georgie Pushkas. Good player. I live near Reading, oddly enough. And then Sunderland. So Sunderland's loan fee was decent too. Their facilities, excellent training facilities. Well, mate, you have got a bit of deciding to do. Who's the Sunderland manager now? Phil Brown. Oh dear. Not Phil Brown. Kevin Phillips, assistant manager, though. I like that. So Sunderland's was excellent. Can't remember what Reading were. Reading. I think Reading might have been excellent too. Great. So we either let him go to Sunderland. We've got better facilities, but the manager's not as good, and they're a division below, or we let him go to Reading, who are in the Championship. I'm going to accept both, and I'll let him make the decision. He's got very good determination and a very good personality, Gary Brown. So I trust his decision in his own development here. Yeah, he's very spirited, very determined. I trust his decision making over mine here. Reject all unresponded offers. Few players have not had an offer in them. Will Russ and Harry Cornick. Gillingham won Cornick on loan. Obligation to buy 220k. Yeah. See you later, mate. You go back to Gillingham. Not that Harry Cornick's a bad player. He's just we're getting beyond this type of player. And although we do still use the data analysis and whatnot. Now Shane Durant is one of the lads who come through the youth academy this season. He's good, man, but he's not going. We'd rather let him develop here a little bit and then take it from there and see how that goes. And then speaking of, we'll just show you the lads who come through. You see, you've already seen Shane Durant. We look at the under 18s. The way I look at the under 18s, although I'm not a massive believer of the star ratings, I tend to look at their current ability rather than potential, because if a lad's like 16, 17 and they're saying he's like 2.5 to 3 star, that's your first team level. So if he's that good at that young of an age, he doesn't necessarily need that much more potential. He just needs to play a lot. So like Gary Brown, you've seen how good he is. He can definitely make an impact in the first team. Shane Durant probably wouldn't get in at the minute. Ryan Brown, is you've seen him a few times. He's very good. He's already made his first team debut. Same for someone like Seamus Dunn. Probably do a job. We'll probably look to loan him out. Not too sure yet. Spencer Andrew came in through this year's intake. He's just like an old-fashioned winger. Very quick, likes to beat the offside trap, and he likes to just dribble and get the ball in. Left-footed winger. Sweet. Ricardo Remy on the opposite side, a right-footed old-school winger. Again, there's a bit of a trend going on. Stephen Kelly's a big Northern Irish striker. He came in too. Not too sure whether he will develop all that much. And then John Henry is the next one that we signed. Promising midfielder. He dictates the tempo already, so he's more like a deep line playmaker. So he could definitely do the job there. But we do already have Alex Davenport, who, although is only 16, is already good enough. I mean, he got 11 assists in 51 matches last season. That's a great return for a young lad. Tries long range passes, comes deep to get the ball. Yeah, he's going to be a very, very good player. So we'll probably wait till he's like 18 and then loan him up from there. But I'm actually going to leave it there. As I said, there's not really much more to talk about. I think, and I feel as though we've already identified and strengthened where we need to strengthen. Um, Especially if we get Taylor Richards in for fairly cheap, someone who can play across the front lines and even in the middle. Um, I think we're in a good position to at least survive, at the very least survive this season. Not when Liverpool make Haaland offer. Oh, which is why we need the fast centre halves. We need these people to recover for us because some teams like City, Liverpool, Arsenal on it are just going to blow us out the water otherwise. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. It's going to be a long ride, this one, isn't it? But thank you very much for watching, and we will catch up next time.